All right, so Justin, hi there.
Hi. I'm going to pretend we haven't been talking for 7 minutes.
Pardon me?
I'm going to pretend we have not already been talking for 7 minutes.
Okay.
How are you? Just kidding.
I'm fabulous. Thank you for asking. Do I have your permission to record the Skype interview?
I do. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Also, do I have your consent to upload this interview onto a website? The website will have a password and will be viewable by graduates, studies associates, and interviewees.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So let me explain my project for this video content. I'm doing my final project at Northern Arizona University, my master's degree in rhetorical writing and digital media. I chose an interdisciplinary focus, the study of the documentary Cowspiracy, its effectiveness as a model for behavior change toward environmental sustainability, and as a media literacy tool. Before our video, I explained media literacy a little bit. Media literacy is learning how to ask critical questions about media, such as who made this image, why did they make it, how would different people see this differently, and also practicing making media, whether it be images or video content, which allows a student to get the perspective of behind the camera and realize it's a constructed image. So, I gave you the questions before, and are you ready to start?
Yeah, I don't remember any of them. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I will tell you. Number one.
Just style, yeah.
Tell me about yourself.
So I'm from the United States. I'm from Wisconsin, actually, which is the dairy capital of the United States. And let's see, I'm 35. And I teach English in Korea, and I teach little kids. I teach kindergartners. And I'm a vegetarian. Been a vegetarian on and off for several years. And I don't know. I could probably talk on that, and it would be useless. But we'll just go with that.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, and we met through, I guess it's the Busan Climate.
Bikes.
Oh, through the bike riding crew, which is run by the Busan Climate Network.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. What did you think of the documentary Cowspiracy?
Yeah, it was really good. I was like, so I initially became vegetarian for like the humane reasons, or like, just like learning about how animals are raised and factory farming specifically, and then educating myself about that, and then making the moral choice to stop taking part in that system. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know, I don't read that much about it, but then, I do a little bit, and then you just hear things specifically. I listened, actually maybe the first time I heard someone kind of really be ranty about it, or be very just firm in their judgment, was I listened to this fermentation podcast, and they had this guy on. It was episode 100, and this guy who I think he was the author of several books on tempeh, actually, and I think they just wanted to talk about tempeh, which is this fermented soybean product. But he ended up kind of going off about if you call yourself an environmentalist and you eat meat, you're not doing a service to the environment.
Interesting.
And just kind of ranted about that, and I was like, all right. And then I'd heard stuff
when was the tempeh guy?
I would get you that name after. I was thinking about so I was thinking about what I might talk about during this interview, and I remembered that. And I was like, I could look for it, and it could take 10 minutes, or I could just give you the name after I'm done. So I'll email you his name.
But it was before you watched the film, a while before?
Yeah, several months ago.
Oh, okay.
And then I'd heard here and there stuff about I don't know, just how if you're an environmentalist, the meat industry is not good for the planet, but that movie just completely closed the gap for me as far as not knowledge on that. And it was a movie that, like, we watched about half of it right before this interview. And the first time I watched it was because I'm a procrastinator 3 days ago. But I said to myself, even like, I want to watch this again, and maybe again, because there's a lot of facts in it.
Yeah.
And it's a dense movie. It is down to earth, like you mentioned that before this interview, but like a lot of facts. But for me, like, it was good. I'll say this: maybe this might come up in a different question. Mm-hmm. What I felt like was, I don't know if anyone's going to watch that who isn't already a vegetarian and say, like, no, I'm going to switch that. I don't know if anyone who's not an environmentalist or cares about the environment is going to watch that and go, I'm going to stop eating meat. But for people like that guy in the movie, or anyone who considers themselves an environmentalist, or even if you don't call yourself that word, if you like legit care about the environment, which like a lot of people do, but let's be honest, a lot of people don't. But if you do, I think that might be like good for those kind of people. Like, I have a friend, Ryan Hofer. You may have met him. He's a local. I'm actually having dinner with him tonight. I might talk about that movie just because, like, he's about the environment. And, like, he's open to vegetarian food, but he just, like, won't close that gap.
He's the guy who ran the
Climate Action.
The Climate Action, the parade through the city, right?
Yeah. And he does stuff. I mean, like, he's like, he's legit, like, cares. So I think something like that might be good for him.
Yeah, I thought about that because I attended that march, and I didn't know a lot about it, but Julian, Climate Action Network leader, said, why don't you attend? And I was there thinking, why aren't we also talking about animal agriculture? And I've seen other marches that they make that their primary notion, but since I didn't organize it, I just wanted to show up. We had one person in a polar bear costume and walked along the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The signs.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Okay, well, you've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I'll ask number 3. Did Cowspiracy influence your attitudes, your habits, your behaviors? So this could be in relation to what you eat, but you were a vegetarian starting, or it could be in relation to research or talking to people. Like, that's what I mean by the question.
Like, this movie will be impactful for me. Like, I already started reading stuff like Greenpeace's retort piece to the, I want to say, accusations in the movie, or at least, like, implicate. The guy who made the movie, kind of implied that Greenpeace might receive money from the meat and or dairy industry, and I just read a reply piece from them online that says that they don't, but
I saw that.
Regardless, it's not, or it hasn't been, like, on their menu as far as, like, things to, it's not, like, high on their priority list. And it's like, I like whales. Like, who doesn't like whales? I love whales. But, like, it's interesting to me that, like, they're more about stopping, like, whaling, which is illegal and it's sad, but then just, like, stopping fishing altogether, which is just, like, killing so many more fish. And it's just like, yeah, whales are smart and super interesting, but, saying, like, stopping whaling is more important than stopping just straight up fishing, period, is like saying, like, whales are more important than fish, which is like, are they? I don't know, like, so it was maybe like preaching to the choir just because, like, I'm already a vegetarian and I consider myself an environmentalist, but I didn't have that knowledge, actually. And now that, like, that movie's there's a lot of names in there that I want to, like, read more about. There's a few people who wrote books in there. There's a few people in that movie who I've seen before in other films, like Educated. I think the guy who was sued by the meat industry after he went on Oprah, that guy was in, like, every vegetarian documentary
Oh,
I've
the guy
seen.
who was a rancher and became a vegan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wyman. I don't remember what his name is, but he's in a lot. He's a good. He's like good to have because like he went on Oprah once, and the meat industry like drew tons of lawsuits at him just for like opening his mouth, and just to see like, yeah, the meat industry has so much scary power in Washington with all their money and whatnot. Again, I kind of touched on it. Like, I don't know if the average Joe Schmo on the street who like litters and like doesn't care is
The
gonna
average Joe who what? Sorry?
Joe Schmo who like litters. I was like
okay,
in the
litters.
subway the other day charging my phone.
Yeah.
And, like I saw 3 or 4 people just put an empty cup on top of the charge machine where I was standing, and me just kind of like looking and going, is that okay? But then again, like, I don't know. Like, I littered when I was a kid, so it's like, so again, for like an average person seeing this, is it going to like convince them to become vegetarian and environmentalist? Probably not. But again, like, if you care about the environment, and still eat meat, like, those people are probably like a good target for this. And I think like, there's like, maybe it's just the people that I surround myself with, but I feel like a lot of people do legit care about the environment. Again, that just could be because the people I surround myself with. But yeah, that's my long answer to your simple question.
That's good. I kind of wonder if some people have a sense of learned helplessness where they think there's nothing. Like at the beginning of the movie, Kip Anderson talks about how he tried everything he could, taking shorter showers, recycling, riding his bike everywhere, but realized even doing all those things maybe wouldn't be enough when you crunch the numbers. If everyone was doing that, would it actually be enough to stop environmental destruction? Maybe people feel like there's no point because it won't make a difference. I've encountered that attitude before a little bit.
To be honest, it's true though. I mean, like, in one sense, like, that's like a sad way to like look at the world. But in another sense, it's just actually true. Like any one thing that any one person does is not going to make a difference. But it's just kind of the point of like thinking that like I think what it was for me, and this is kind of the hard thing, was to like have a moral, like make a moral choice, because maybe this is more background than we need to go, but I was like an idealist, like political, when I was like 14, 13, and like cared about all these things. And then like seriously, by the time I was 18, I was just like, screw it, like what's the point? It's stupid. And then it was a while, like mid to late 20s before I like met people who were like, past like their idealistic youth, and were still like, no, like I'm over 30 and I'm a vegan. Like I think that's important. Like I'm making a moral choice. I think like a lot of people don't want to make the moral choice because I don't know. It could be because they think it doesn't matter, or they're afraid to have a conviction. Because like sometimes making a moral choice is similar to like believing in God, for example. But like you don't have to believe in God to believe that like the world's in trouble. So do I think like me not eating meat is going to save the world? Like no, but like I'd like to think that my life choices matter, and in that sense, like that's why I'm a vegetarian. Like, 'cause I don't want to take part morally in like a system that thrives on murder and whatever else, destruction of the environment. So I don't know. It's complicated. I feel like a lot of people aren't gonna like make that moral choice, and convincing people to do that, I'd like to think it's possible. I don't know. I'm kind of cynical. I'm sorry.
I appreciate hearing your perspective.
Right.
So I think number 4 now would be a good time to bring that in. So, how can this documentary, Cowspiracy, best be used as an educational tool inside or outside the classroom? And before we chatted, I debriefed you a bit on what media literacy is, maybe in relation to media literacy or any other ideas you have.
Yeah, I'm a teacher, but I teach kindergarten. I couldn't show this. When you mean like inside the classroom, are you talking about like just like a public school or something like that?
Well, let me tell you, I left it open because originally I was going to try to tie this directly to the work I'm doing now, but I felt like it was too limiting. I want to create resources for any kind of teacher in America, in Korea. There are different lessons, different activities we can do with younger kids and with older kids, maybe a cooking class to show them how to eat with more plant-based foods, or with older kids actually showing them the documentary or showing pieces of it, or just using some of the same methods that they do in the documentary to help people critically analyze media and think about it when they're making choices.
Yeah, I mean,
especially to curtail environmental devastation.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, like, it's good to, follow the money, the old adage, follow the money.
Follow
really,
the money.
like, since I became a vegetarian and since I started, I don't know, like, watching documentaries like that, like, they all point out that the meat and dairy industry is just, so powerful because they have so much money. And, they wield a lot of influence in governments in Washington with laws. And then, if you show Conspiracy or other films like this, like, what is the guy who made this movie, Kip? Something?
Kip Anderson?
Is he backed by, like, the powerful vegan lobby? Like, that's not a thing. Like, he made this movie because he educated himself. So, like, where's the money that came to make this film? Like, you could probably find out. It probably came from, like, many different donors.
You did crowdsourcing. I can answer right now.
Okay.
Well, midway through the movie, do you remember when he approached Greenpeace and then they rejected his interview? Somewhere around that point, he found out that his funder, he didn't tell us who the funder was,
that
they backed out.
Yeah,
so he finished the movie using crowdsourcing. You know what that is, right? Like
Indiegogo
and stuff. And that's how they paid for it and getting all the subtitles. And they're making a second movie right now, and it's through crowdsourcing. And they raised their entire budget in one day. Now they have 260% of their budget raised, and they're going to use the surplus money to try to get it to a quality that maybe could be shown in a theater, get multiple translations and stuff. So that's just a website where any random person can take their credit card and donate like $10 or $100 or whatever they want. So it's just completely individually funded from people who want to give their money to it. So
yeah, I mean, that's like the same. Like, probably shouldn't jump into this ring, but American political election politics, like Bernie Sanders, almost all of his money is coming from like many different donors.
Oh my God, that was so amazing when he just said, "Okay, my fundraising starts. Give me 10 or 20 or 30. Thank you, done." And what did he raise? Like,
I have no idea, but
millions of dollars in a very short time.
Even if he doesn't win the Democratic, candidacy, like, the story itself is still worth writing a book about, just because.
Yeah.
But, and this is what I want to say. It's like, you can't look at Hillary Clinton and go like, "Oh, she's got a bunch of like big money backers. Like, clearly she's like influenced by evil." Like, no, but it's the possibility that she might, like, that any given decision that she might make may be influenced by like this lobby or this lobby or this lobby. So as far as like vegetarianism goes or conspiracy, it's a matter of just, and it's difficult for most people, but just like looking outside and going like, this is like the world that I grew up in, and it's familiar, but this is a world that's like constructed by big money, and it might not be like the best world. And a lot of that, to be honest with you, also for me, comes down to like looking at capitalism as just like this self-perpetuating machine that may not be the best thing for like the world that we live in. In fact, it's definitely not. But then, like, looking at that and saying like, no, I mean, obviously I still have a job and I like money, or I want money. I don't like money, but it's like rejecting what society has to offer you, or at least realizing that a lot of what you're given or fed, let's just say fed, is like, there's all these like crazy big money sources behind it, and it's just like the blood diamonds thing when people found out like all those diamonds they were buying for engagement rings were like from all these like horrible wars going on and stuff, and I don't know, did that like curtail diamond industry? I don't know, but I can tell you, I don't know if you heard this. Maybe I've told you this before. A lot of fast food companies, including McDonald's, have agreed to. Can't remember. I think it's stopped doing the like tiny cage chickens, and I don't know if they're like going to be free range or cage free or whatever. But I think that's a good step, But then at the same time, what Cowspiracy is great for is going like, you know what? If we took all the people who said like, I would eat beef, and that this used to be me, maybe it still is, but I was like, I would eat beef if it was like totally free range and these cows were treated well. You know what? If every cow on the planet was totally free range and treated well, what I learned in the movie is that there wouldn't be any space on the earth to put all those cows there because there's so many goddamn people on the planet that people want meat, they want beef, and there has to be enough room for all those cows, and that's like everywhere. It's like literally everywhere.
It's completely impossible. And also they said if China gets on board and wants to consume meat like Americans do, we don't have enough world. And it's true.
Yeah, and they totally will too.
Have you seen the Chatham House study?
What's that?
Have you seen the Chatham House study?
No.
No? I'll send it to you later. It's really interesting. There's 12 countries. Like, I was looking for more research on this project. It's one of the big pieces that I'm going to use in my research. It's a 12-country study. It's a think tank in London. There are already...
Chatham House?
Yeah. I'll send you the link.
I've heard of it.
There are already foundations looking at how to solve this problem, and their recommendations are lobbying the government for change. They think it needs to change on a government level. I agree, but I think change begins with individuals as well. I think individuals can make a big difference. They studied 12 different countries, and they looked at meat consumption. Meat consumption is actually going down in North America, but it's going up in Asia. As we know, we live here, and every restaurant is a gogi restaurant, meat restaurant.
It's like a mark of you considering
Success.
yourself like a developed country to like, eat a lot of meat.
Yeah, it's quite a complicated issue to consider the global scheme of things. I mean, this movie is made in English, mostly viewed by people of Western culture. I mean, they will get it translated and have subtitles. So I'd like to do a follow-up project and see what's happening in Asia as well.
Yeah.
But that's another story. Yeah, I guess that's the last question. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to your...
To my like circuitous answers that don't actually answer the question, but just kind of like I follow my tangents and then I'm like, oh, now I'm talking about Bernie Sanders. No, I'm glad you made me. I'm glad I'm glad you made me watch this, and I'm gonna watch it again. And
well, maybe you and I could do. I had hoped to do it during the project to set up one more showing of the film. Like we could buy another showing, and I'd like to have it in a nice place and maybe have some extra things there.
Yeah.
Get some like art or T-shirts or something, and have a raffle. Like make it a bit of an event would be really fun. Maybe this summer we could do that.
Yeah. I'm down for that. I could ask Sunny how much the theater was, or just if there's other venues or whatever. But just get at me, and then I'm happy to like do whatever with you as far as doing that stuff goes.
I wonder about the Busan Culture Center where the Film Fest stuff happens. There's an outdoor theater.
Yeah, that really big one.
That one would be cool on a nice summer day outside. Yeah.
I wonder how much money. I'm like, I have no idea. I'm like,
I don't know, maybe it doesn't cost anything if you approach it that way. We'll look into it. We'll become experts on all the theaters of Busan.
It's probably knowledge worth having.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Justin. I really appreciate your interview, and I'll send you some links of stuff that we talked about.
Okay, I'll get you that guy's name too.
And let's go for a bike ride soon.
Sounds good.
Khan is just getting bored sitting there. I call my bike Khan because it says Khan on it.
Oh, okay.
Did you get a new bike?
No, I have
You
a
said
flat
you
tire
biked to
too.
me
I have
now.
2 bikes, but I also have a flat tire, so that has to get fixed.
Okay. Well, I hope you get it fixed soon. Have a great day, and
Thanks,
I'll be
you
in
too.
touch.
Cool. Thanks. Good talking to you.
Thanks.